It's all good, brother. It's all good. Friday, DJ. So, wins and losses Friday. What worked? What didn't? What flopped? And, what rocked? That's really the big question. To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. All right, brother D. You know what? One thing is for certain: we are not missing the TIA next year.
No,
I'm getting texts from so many people saying, "Look who I met here! Look who I met here! Look who I met here! Look who I met here!"
I know. I
We are
was a
definitely
little
not missing.
jealous. I was a little
Yeah,
jealous seeing Trey meeting everybody over there.
yeah.
That's
And
cool,
then Lisa and Chad sent me a picture of them with Dean, and yeah. So it's going to be good morning, Damon. It's going to be
Morning,
next
Damon.
year is going to be a rocking time. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be at all the events, doing the show from the events, brother. We're bringing the old suitcases, the hard top suitcases where we set up all the gear and all that kind of stuff. All we do, I just give me an internet connection, man. We're good.
That's right.
We're golden.
That's
So
right.
you know what I mean? So
I
wins and
was doing
losses
this out of my
Friday,
car.
DJ. What's that?
I said I was doing this out of my car, and I think you started out of your car. So
Yeah.
we
Oh,
could do
but
this anywhere.
when I actually remember that, we're like almost every show you were in your car or going somewhere else.
Always.
You know what? I guess you do what you got to do to get done, right? And that's the end result. And
Takes what it
excited to
takes.
talk to you about wins and losses Friday because we actually I don't know if you've noticed, either consciously or subconsciously, we stopped talking about wins and losses all week, off air, like prior to, and we're
I
kind
know.
of, I don't know, over the last couple of weeks, we've only been sharing them kind of spontaneously on this show. And I actually like it because I think it drives more authenticity, right? Whereas if it's
Yeah,
if things
definitely.
are prepped or, like today I'm on What the Truck Would Dooner and Michael
Yes.
Vincent. I said, "Well, wait, what am I talk about?" He says, "I don't care. Just talk about where you started, where you came." I'm like, okay, like it's that spontaneity is so cool when it comes to conversations. I've
Yes.
often said, when I first started Little Conversations Today back in 2009. Where I would like read books and interview the authors and stuff. They were like, "Well, what do you want to talk about?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just want the conversation to take on a life of its own." And back then, I'll
That's
tell you, the
crazy.
majority of people were like, "Well, here's a list of questions to ask." And I'm
Yes,
like, "Yeah, but,"
exactly.
and I was a nobody compared to, a New York Times best-selling author in my head, right? I'm like, "Oh, well, I'm a nobody." And I'm like, "Okay." So at first, like I'm reading this list of questions and I'm like, but these, I don't know. And for lack of a better term, I found
The
most of the questions were very superficial, right? Like
softball,
high level.
softball, softball political questions. Is that fair to say?
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. Whereas you want to get into the fastball, like you want to get into the sliders, you want to,
Yeah.
and that for me was the big part because the reason I started interviewing people was like, okay, I read the book, I get this, but take me a level deeper,
Yeah,
or I didn't
deeper.
quite get this. Can you, clarify it or say it a different way? And
Yeah.
and I figured if I'm having that same challenge, other people got to be having the challenge because we all have similar challenges. So that's where that kind of came from. But the spontaneity and kind of the show taking on a life of its own, I love that. I mean, it's yesterday. I mean,
Yeah.
what a blast with
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah. Who would have known we would have went 45 minutes, but we could
I
have went
know.
probably an hour and a half with
Oh,
him. I
easily.
mean, yeah.
Easily. And it's that's what happens when a conversation takes on a life of its own. And I love it. I love it. So, do you
I,
want to start? Do you want me to
I
start? What do
agree.
you want to do?
You go ahead, but I do want to touch on that because I do love and guys, let us know if you like the way that that we don't have a structure because we do. We really are just kind of letting this show go on as a life of its own, just with very open, no stage, no really geared questions. Most of our guests, well, not most, all of our guests don't have questions that we're setting them up with. And so I think I love that too because you never know where it's going to go,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
and that's like
it's
yesterday. I
yeah, and I
didn't
mean,
know it was going to lead
yeah,
like that, but it
yeah,
really did, and it was
yeah.
crazy.
And
So
here's the thing: is typically the way. so you look at it when we talk about like business and sales, right?
Yeah.
We're always like, okay, have the intention, know what you want to achieve, know what you want to achieve. And then it's like the exact opposite when guests come on the show. It's like, okay, here's
Yeah.
the topic, can we talk about this? Yeah, sure, man. Well, what do you want to say? Well, I don't care, just figure out what you're going to say, and when we get on the show, just say
Let's
it.
go.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty simple. And but those, so that flip flop kind of thing, you're teeter tottering all day long. Whereas in sales, you're like, no, man, we got to hammer it this way,
Now,
this
now,
structure, this.
do you think though, and anybody
Mhm,
watching, let us know. I mean, does this? And I'm flipping this towards sales, but I think this is really obviously this is what this show's about. But that genuine feeling that comes through, doesn't
mhm,
it give more of a real feeling than like a staged, how you can tell somebody who's reading off of a script sounds, they sound very robotic.
mhm,
So like I remember first gig getting into in-home sales, it was, you got to, well, you're going to say this and you're going to go through this slide, and at this point you're going to say exactly these words, and it was like,
mhm.
huh, that's
But
really,
so here's the thing, DJ, with that, it works, right? Like
it
there
does,
is very, very
but it has
smart
to be
people, way
genuine to how
smarter.
you say it.
e-
It
Exactly.
has to be
But this
genuine
is
to how you say
where that dedication of longevity in that carear takes over. So, do I believe in scripts? 1000%.
it.
But
I
I
do too.
believe you take your script. If you ever want a lesson in dedication, take your sales script or take something and read it 100 times. Because I'm telling you, by like the seventh time, you're kind of like you're drifting. Your mind's like
I'll
stay
tell you,
focused 100 times.
I'm so glad you said that. So what I did, and I don't know who told me to do this or where I even got this from, but I talk, I don't talk as proper as some people. So
Did
certain
you
things
see
don't
as
come
properous?
as proper as some people, and so
Brother, I'm all over that. It's all
so
good.
so certain things don't come out, when they word it, or when somebody's phrasing something and writing out a sentence, it sounds, it looks a lot better on paper than saying it out. And so
Yes.
somebody was like, well, look, write over the, so to learn it, I would write the script or the words that they were saying, but then he would say tweak it to where it sounded better to you.
Mhm,
After you wrote it a few times, tweak one word every time you rewrote it to it sound better to you. And I was like,
mhm.
wow, okay. And it really helped me, one, remember, obviously, but then two, make it more of my own. And I
Yeah.
think that
So
was,
here's the thing. You look at what Steve said yesterday, right? With Grant Cardone, very
yeah,
smart man, very
yeah,
great businessman, awesome salesperson.
yeah,
He has a script for the team to follow
yeah,
that is proven to sell $40,000 programs, right?
yeah,
Okay, so that's baseline. The people who succeed in everything make it their own.
yep,
They follow the path, they follow the road. Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
a GPS,
yes,
right? You're going down the road with the GPS. You look at the GPS. You're saying, okay, that's the way everyone goes. But if I go this way, we still meet up here. So maybe that's where you divert from your script with your own words, but you end up at the same location.
yeah,
And that is what I believe dedication and true accountability for wanting a career as opposed to a job. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I
I
have
agree.
templates, I have scripts that work, like even the QCESP formula, right? Qualify, clarify, expert story positioning. If you walk through that 3-step formula, you will walk through any single sales call with ease. But you have to have the formula. You have to sit down and understand the stories and what
You
story
have to,
relates to
yeah,
what and how
you
does
have to
that
follow the
nucleus of that story
process.
relate. Like it's just what it is. But when you do, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is kind of easy. It's like, I mean, and simple, maybe not easy. Simple is a better word.
Yes.
And this is where, and again, spontaneity. We had wins and losses Friday. We're not talking about scripts, but again, and another thing with scripts, a pretty good segue. So my big loss for this week, as all of you know, a couple of weeks ago I got a gig, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the word would be for writing.
Mm,
And so I wrote 4 articles. The first article was heavily edited because I was writing in a sense that I always normally wrote, but when you write for publications, it's a completely different format. So
mm,
after the first one, they were like, okay, a lot of edits, love your content, but we just got to reword it to specifics the way that customers are looking for. Okay, no problem. So I wrote myself out a framework so I can stick to the script of the framework because, again, like we've said in the past, we're so used to doing it one way. When we go to change it, we have to be so intentional about making that shift at every single junction. So the second article was great. I think it had like 3 edits. It was perfect. Well, the third article, and this is where, big lesson for me this week was, always go back. I didn't use the template because I thought I got this. Right.
Mm.
And so third article was medium edits. Fourth article, I was like, okay, I learned. Okay, I got it. And, and they were coaching me along the way, which is awesome. They were saying, okay, like, listen, this customer's pretty particular. It's this, this, and this. And it's funny. So I wrote the fourth article. I reread this thing like 10 times. I was like, man, this is my best article ever. It was the most heavily edited article of the entire bunch.
Oh,
And so what happened was I lost the opportunity to continue writing for the
oh.
moment. But here's the thing, DJ, and as upsetting as it was, because you got to
But it
understand.
was
So
great
everybody,
lessons, right?
but it's 5 years. I've been like, so for the last 3 years, every day I've been working, like connecting with one person, 2 people, 3 people,
Yeah, yeah,
talking to people to try and write articles for publication. So
yeah. Mm.
5 years of my life, I've been trying to get to this point. I got to this point and I it's taught me a lot because so what the deal is now is I'm no longer writing for publication. I have to learn more about writing, then they'll take me back. So it's not a complete lost opportunity, but for me now, what it's done is it's put a fire in my body
Uh-oh.
and I will be back on top within 2 weeks. Like I will do everything I need to do. I will get up 5 hours earlier in the morning just to study writing and how it's done and the process and the structure. And my promise to them was I'm going to come back stronger than anyone has ever come back strong because
I
to
love it.
me, this is something I really, really want to do. I believe in it. I believe in delivering that message to people. Was it a huge learning experience? 100%. Because I had to write articles that I wasn't necessarily 100% sold on, if that
Uh,
makes sense. So, you know me,
See,
I'm very
and that
purpose
you
driven.
go deeper into that because that has to, like that. That's
So
if I'm not
I'll
into.
go,
I'm one
go
of
on.
those people. If I'm on the fence, like I have to be in it. I have to be.
Mhm.
I have to be really in it.
But you see,
So
here's the thing. If you're a writer, like so, and the deal was I write for 3 months. They
mm,
give me the topics, then I get to go and choose the topics, and my name gets published. So right now, again,
yeah,
you agree to these
yep. The
these
terms,
set of rules or whatever,
yes,
right?
sir.
And so like when we walk into a company, it's like, okay, I agree. I'm going to be, you sign the contract or whatever, you agree to the employment. It's like, I'm going to be here from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. I'm going to be selling. And I'm going to sell. And then you walk into the company and it's like, well, this is tough or I don't understand. And then you don't do your job. Like it's exactly what Steve was talking about yesterday. Like I hire you to do a
Yeah.
job, just do the job, do it to the best of your ability. If you're coachable, we'll get you there. But it's the
Yep.
lazy people, right? It's the 20% Clydesdales, the 80% donkeys that we were talking about. And
Yes.
so
I love
when
it.
you write for publications, it's like, here's the topics. It doesn't matter whether you believe in that topic or not. And the topic that I didn't necessarily believe in was a process of what's the best thing to start in logistics sales. Like, where should you start in logistics sales? Now, I
Mm,
believed in pieces of it. So what I did is I looked at the concept of it and I said, I believe in this, this, and this, so I can write passionately about it. I
okay.
don't believe in this, this, and this. So I stuck to those 3 points that and don't get me wrong, the article, they said the content was absolutely fabulous. It was the sentence structure,
Uh,
finishing my thoughts. Whereas in my head, so, and again, here was the big thing that I didn't grasp until the end. And I woulda, shoulda, coulda. I wish I would have grasped it after the first article.
that's okay.
When you write for publications, you don't necessarily write to people that have been in the industry for 5 or 10 years, that understand all the little pieces of the jargon and understand how
Okay.
one thing connects to the others. You know that this connects to this, but there's 5 steps
So,
in between. If I talk about this
so
and
you're
this, you'll
saying
understand.
you need to follow the kiss.
Keep it simple, superstar. Exactly. You notice how I changed that last word, eh? So it's yes, exactly. And I didn't understand that. So the long story short is that was a huge fail for me this week. But the golden nugget The beautiful thing that inside of it is now, like, so even here as we sit, um like I've got all of this that I printed, and I'm kind of structuring everything
Oh
out.
wow.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a habit that I'm going to turn it instantly into this habit where here's my template, like
I
here's my
love it.
framework, sorry, and I'm writing. And I'm going to do section 1 and I'm going to go back. Does it hit every point of my framework? Yes. And if it takes so and the reason was is I think it's like, have you ever seen the movie Colors back in the day about the LA gangs, the Bloods and Crips, about
Yes,
the LA
yes, yes,
gangs? Okay.
yes. Yep.
So when Sean Penn is like this young cop, and
Yeah.
and they saw a guy dealing a dime bag or whatever on the side, and he's like, he goes to, and the guy goes, whoa, 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 settle down. Like, because we don't need those
Yeah,
guys.
we don't
He
need
goes,
those
like, you're out
guys.
here, you're the bull on top of the hill, and you want to walk down and oomph as many as you can instead of run down and just oomph one. Right. For, I know it's not a children's show, but I'm not going to say that here either. But so, and what I was trying to do when I first got it is I was like, give me 10 topics. And like, whoa, 10 topics. I'm like,
Oh,
because I wanted to plow out like
yeah.
15, because it was just, I was so
But
excited
that's
to
the
be
way you do
writing.
things. That's the way you do things. Come on.
Exact- And 1000%. But so if my new project that we're in, that I'm taking that slow,
Yeah.
because and I said to
Well, because
myself, well,
it's
why didn't you do that with the writing? You just went gung ho, because I saw the topics and I'm like, oh my God, I could write about that for hours. And don't get me wrong, like when I'm writing, again, I know I've used this analogy a lot, but like it's like Bruce Almighty when he was on the computer, Jim Carrey. Yeah. And it's because it just pours out of me. And then I'm like, okay, I'll go back and edit. So anyways, that was a big loss for the week.
Does the
Very,
Columbia
very big
guy
loss.
come to your window? Does the Columbia guy come to your
Yeah, with coffee. That's actually a good one. I wish that would be awesome. I wouldn't have to leave. But so that was a big one, but also the opportunity to learn and educate, I think, is even bigger. It's a bigger benefit than the loss.
I,
And
I
and
I
um,
love the passion it gave you. You clearly
yeah,
you got a fire under you now about it,
oh
so
yeah,
I like it.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And you know what? And again, the more, it's funny because we talked about this when Andrew was on. When you fail exponentially, really cool things happen. And I also know from experience, we have to watch how much we talk about it. So, and I'll give you a perfect example. So, my first ever radio show, I had a radio show in Quebec that was weekly, and I called it the Adversity Connection, because I wanted to bring people on and make the connection for adversity and success. And you have to pass through adversity and challenges in order to get to greatness.
Yes, sir.
But I'll tell you, DJ, I started talking about adversity every single day, and all I was met with was adversity. Like
Mm,
it was a great, and I remember it was Rico Rikoski, where one day I called him and I go, I just don't understand. Like every corner I turn, I smash my face into a brick wall. And as much as I punch this brick wall and hit it with a sledgehammer, Rico, it's not coming down. He goes, okay, keep going, keep talking. And after about an hour and a half, he said, okay, so Dan, what it sounds like to me is you're manifesting adversity in your life. And I said,
mhm.
what do you mean? He goes, I don't know. He goes, I'd try and change the name of your radio show, change the context in which you talk about, and, talk about the little conversations in your head that lead to success. They also lead to failure, but they lead to success. He goes, and change it from the adversity connection. And I know it might sound absolutely crazy to some people watching, but instantly, but the second I called the radio show and I said, okay, this is next week, as of next week, it was like a Friday. As of Monday, the radio show's called this. So can we please put out a press release and everything to change the name of the radio show? And it was like instantly doors everywhere started opening. And I'm not just talking like financial or anything. Like I'm talking guests all of a sudden were like, yeah, I'll come on. I'll come on. I'll come on. Like
Yeah.
all these doors started opening, DJ. And it was an insane kind of, oh my
Takes what it takes.
Lord moment. Yeah, it was crazy, crazy. And so understanding, we need failure to understand what greatness is. You need a bad paycheck to understand a good paycheck. You need a bad day to understand a good day. You need a cold day to understand a warm day. Like we need the juxtapositions and the opposites, right? Like the vacuum law of prosperity says, as long as this mic's here, I can't put anything in its spot. But if I take this mic away, I can maybe put a better mic in its spot. Can they put
Yeah.
something beside it? Sure, but we're talking that specific spot, right? And
Yeah.
that's the vacuum law of prosperity. The all the laws of influence, the law, like, you can go by everything, and there is laws that these things operate on that are steadfast from the universe, right? And not to get too spiritual, but it's a reality. And
No, but
this is
no, you're so right. I mean, our media. I mean, look, people just need. If is it okay if I go on a little rant here? So
go
people
for
need to pay
yeah.
attention to
And
the
you
media.
know what? Damon says it right. He goes, "Words matter." DJ's about to go on a
Words do
rant.
matter.
Words matter.
Look, our brains are always guys, your brains are always fucking with you. They're always going to. They're always telling you the worst things. But it's once you speak that negative stuff out, and that's probably again, it's neutral thinking. It's something I so believe in. Trevor Moawad, that book, It Takes What It Takes. I'm such a big believer because exactly to your point, and it's so you're like the closest to the truest story besides the stories he gives in the book of it just being so real of what you're saying. But he says, what we think, so we think a negative thought, it's 10 times more likely to kind of lead us to that direction subconsciously, to that direction of what we're thinking negatively versus a good thought. So if you just take that idea and that concept, it does don't I, whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. But now they say if you speak it out, it's 4 to 7 times more likely. So now
Mhm.
a good thought spoken out is 4 to 7 times likelier to happen in your life, but a bad or negative is 40 to 70 times. What do you think is going to
Mhm.
happen? I
Mhm.
mean, Jesus, and we're surrounded by it. Trev, I talked about it a little bit, but he said, his dad had crazy rules, but maybe it's what we need, everybody needs right now. But yeah, I mean, it was no local media. It was no news except sports, local sports and local weather. That's it.
Mhm.
No country music. Crazy, but uh,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that's well. I mean,
Again, but
I had a
I
buddy of mine. A
understand it.
buddy of mine calls me
It's
up one
all
day.
about losing your wife, getting drunk, losing
Yeah,
your dog, doing
yeah,
this. I mean,
yeah.
they say it, they make jokes about it, but it really is what it's about.
A
They're
buddy calls me up one day, DJ, and I said, "Man, I haven't heard from you in forever. How you doing?" He goes, "Oh man, my life's a country song." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I got divorced." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He goes, "Yeah, I moved to Ontario." I go, "Okay." He goes, "My wife won the lotto." His
no
ex-wife.
way.
So yeah, he gets divorced. He moves out of province, and his ex-wife wins like $5 million or something in the lotto, like
Oh,
literally a month and a half after he gets divorced.
well,
And
we
he's
know
like,
what
he's like, so
her
he goes,
favorite song
I'm
was
I'm
after that.
struggling. And she went, he goes, it's country music song. He goes, I had to put my dog down, and he went into this whole
It
thing, and
is.
I'm just like on the phone going, oh my God. Like, and I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, oh my
But
gosh, like,
it's life.
can you
It's life.
get,
It's life, y'all. It's life, y'all.
yep.
Mags, you're so right. Yep. Be careful what
Yeah.
you say because you are
Hmm.
listening.
Because you are listening.
You
Exactly.
read it back
Yeah.
again. Be careful
Yeah.
what you
So
say because you are listening.
talk to me, DJ. Sorry, I
Ah,
have consumed
no, we're good.
89% of
That was
this
good.
episode so
I
far, and I
really
apologize.
this week's been so crazy. Besides, nothing but nonstop issues. If anybody else who's watching this is having banking issues, I feel like banking is coming after me right now and Dan. So if anybody else is having banking issues with transfers with stuff like that, please let me know because that has been a nightmare this week,
You know what
all
I
over
found
the
since
place.
I notified every party that needed to be, and again,
It's been,
due diligence, like I'm probably over due diligent, but I notify like everybody, Stripe, all the internet accounts,
yeah,
I notify everybody. And since I notified everybody, like, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate it. Everybody's double checking, right? Like everybody's double checking is saying, okay, so you've had an infiltration. It might not be today, but it might be
yeah.
next week, right? And maybe that's the plan. And so it's like so Stripe, which people purchase my programs and stuff. Typically, I got that in 3 days. The money came in 3 days. They've now
Oh,
moved me up to
yeah,
7.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, why? Because I said you're paying me, and they said, well, if somebody if you are
If it
hacked and
was
somebody
fraud,
does it, and so again, I appreciate it, but I get a call yesterday because I purchased something from Amazon. So I get a call yesterday from my credit card, and they say, just want to make sure you did this purchase. And I said, yes. They said,
mm,
okay, we'll approve it. I'm like, oh, you mean it's not approved? I got a confirmation from it. They go, no, it's pending on the back end. So I appreciate that
Mm.
because I've
Yeah, they added that
possibly
extra layer
been
of
hacked.
security then on your end.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, and that's it. But I'll tell you, it's been what, a week? I still haven't even done anything with my phone. Like I have none of my
Oh,
communication things
really?
set up on my phone, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of like it. I'm just saying, my phone doesn't go
Every five
every three
seconds?
minutes.
Yeah, it's a
But again,
slot machine.
when I'm not at my desk, kind of feel disconnected, brother. Total
Mm.
transparency. Like I kind of feel like, there's so many things happening, and I'm like, interesting, okay, yeah, and it's like it's nice to break. Even yesterday, so I went out with the dogs for a bit yesterday, and I came back in, and somebody was trying to get a hold of me because there was some confusion and some issues with purchasing a program,
Mm.
and so I felt really bad that I left them hanging for an hour, but it also felt really good that I didn't
Yeah.
hear a beep or a
You,
vibrate or anything for about an hour. Do you know what
you
I
know
mean?
what?
Like, does that make
I'm
sense?
so glad. So these conversations, see, and this is what we're talking about, guys. This is leading. I agree. Take this challenge. If anybody is too addicted to that phone, take the challenge. Go get away from it for a little bit because I again, not by my phone broke and I just had to wait for the replacement, so I had nothing. And I felt like you. I felt this is like our lifeline, especially for us in this industry. This is like this is the world. If you can't get you feel very lost. But at the same time, yeah, I I felt that after a few hours, I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of nice, though." Like if I'm away, like nobody can talk to me right now
Yeah,
or say
yeah.
anything to me. Like I gotta wait until I go back and like figure out what's going on. Hey, okay, but I guess back to the stress. Listen, our world is beating us up. Remember that it's messing with your
Mm.
head.
And it's that it's I used to remember back when I was a teenager and like just started driving, right? And I remember I lost my license, and it was a nightmare, and I thought the world is ending. I
Ooh,
lost my license.
yeah,
And you don't get me wrong, you lose your wallet, or your, for a lady, your purse or whatever, and you got all your cards, and it's a nightmare.
oh,
But
yes,
I'll tell
it
you,
happened. I had
the
somebody
bigger
break into my
nightmare
car
is
and
the
steal my
digital
wallet. It was
loss.
the worst. Yeah.
But a bigger nightmare is the digital loss,
Oh, yeah.
because
Because you don't
and
know.
the reason well, here's the thing. I realized, okay. So through what I've experienced over the last, well, it'll almost be a week. It's a week yesterday, right? Um, Unbelievable. So I lost about a day. I'm going to say a full day, because the afternoon and one day and then the morning. But it's taken me almost 3 days to catch up to that day loss, which is, I still haven't, and I will bring it to everyone. I will figure it out, because I'm like now determined to figure out how in the hell can I lose one day of productivity, but it takes me 3 days to get that productivity back. And I think it's a stack situation where, my days are one after another stack. So when you lose a day, you have to fit all these pieces of the puzzle in between the meetings you already have. And then you have to reprioritize and reevaluate and reevaluate and reevaluate. And when I was reevaluating on the weekend, I couldn't move very many things around. So I think that's why, but I'm still digging deep into that. But when you, and maybe it's not the same for most people, but for me, that I live for the better part of digital life, right?
Mm,
Like my programs are online. I take courses online. I have coaches online. I have coaches in person, but the in person
yeah.
is still online.
Look,
Zoom, go to
we're
webinar,
online right
all
now.
these different. Well, but you think about how many places has your credit card.
Ah, yeah.
And I never once put any conscious thought to this, like any conscious thought. So I am talking like I run ads. So I've got Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, all have my credit card.
Yeah.
Then there's the Google accounts that all have the saved passwords. And when you start diving into it, I mean, I have 5 pages of passwords. Who
Yeah.
who the hell needs 5 pages? And this is where my head's starting to go. I'm like, whoa, simplify this shit. Like, why am I, like, something happens, I
Yeah.
want it to be easy. So what do I do? How do I do it? And so I started looking at a lot of these things that, and I'm not just talking present. I'm talking like you purchase something from a company, like I don't know, uh, like a legal Zoom, for example. You're like,
Yeah.
well, I need a business plan, or I need this. So you go and you buy something from them. That's an online digital thing of your credit card.
Mm,
Now, do they have security and all that? Sure. But are you going to take that verbatim? I'm sorry, over the last 3 years, when it comes to vehicles, I've gotten many different emails from companies that I have my credit card with saying, listen, we've had a security breach, right? Like it's happening more and more because everybody's going digital. And, for me, it was that shit. I can't believe how many places
Your
has my
information is,
credit card.
yeah,
Like it's crazy. You
it's
almost just want to cancel your credit cards and it's easier to get new credit cards. And then as the month goes on, it's like, oh yeah, I do need that service. So
yeah.
and literally that was one of
Yeah,
the things I was
yeah,
thinking.
that's so funny. I literally just had that thought the other day. I'm like, there's so many things coming out that I even forgot about. Like, and I know they have these apps, but I mean, come on, there's
Mhm.
just so many damn things. Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah, you focus on the big ones and you move to the small ones, right? So the
yeah.
big ones are like your iCloud account that has your credit card so you can buy apps and all that. The Google accounts, the
Now
Facebooks,
I
the
hate to throw
LinkedIn.
this curveball in there, and maybe it's the
Go
next
for it.
topic for next week, but Bitcoin.
Yeah,
That,
I don't know enough
that's
about it
that,
to
but
even
it's a
talk about it.
secure way. It has none of your information. If we all
Yeah.
traded Bitcoin, nobody's stealing anything. All,
Maybe
all
you
of
can
those
educate me on
transactions are
that.
totally transparent
So
right now.
let's put this down for maybe a future episode, DJ, where maybe
Yeah.
you can educate or we'll bring somebody in to educate
Oh
because
yeah.
I'd love to learn about it.
Oh, I'd love to. I'd
I
love to
just
bring somebody in.
I
Yeah, but
haven't put enough
I know little
emphasis
bits,
on it.
but yeah, I'd love to because I think, I mean, it is definitely the future. It is
Hmm.
definitely the future.
Yeah. All right. What
All
do we
right. Well,
got here,
hey,
brother?
yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Big win, obviously, every week is you guys joining us. So thank you guys
Yes.
for just letting us do this.
And
We are
actually,
glad.
big win this week for a lot of people is the TIA and how
Yes,
many people
yes.
they're meeting
Oh
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
many
That
people
was
are creating those connections. I think it's awesome. As I said at the beginning, I'm getting texts left, right, and center from people, pictures and everything. It's super cool. And a lot of people on this show are meeting people that are on this show. And
yeah.
it's like
I love it.
that connection in the end is what it's all about. The collaboration and everything we
That's
do in
right.
this
That's right.
market
We're
is
just trying. We're just
collaboration.
trying to create a little web, y'all. So join on the
Exactly.
web. But
And like Damon said, words matter.
words do matter. So thank you guys again. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Join it with us right here
And there's
live.
replays 12 and 3 Eastern.
Yes, replays as well. 12 and 3 Eastern. Powered by and supported by American Logistics and Centurion Trucking. Damon, throw him up here again. Words do
Damon!
matter. Damon the man. And I got one to take us out. Zig. Zig had a few really great ones.
Oh, he's
This
had more than a few, brother.
of course. But I mean, Zig was amazing. But
You can almost do like 8 hours a day for a
you
week
could.
reading Zig quotes, and you would never get past the second one. Like you wouldn't repeat
Yeah,
one.
I mean, you could just keep going into it. So yes, but I love this one. I think it goes with the show. If not, anyways, here it is, y'all. Faith is daring the soul to go beyond what the eyes can see.
Mm.
Have faith.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversation.